Yeah, my dad played ball all the way through college and had an opportunity to play NBA ball at the time.
How tall is he?
He's 6'7".
Dan, I want to thank you for taking this time to come here because actually when I first started this podcast 2 years ago, you were one of the first people I came up to ask, would you be on the podcast? And you said, sure, Lance, but you're so busy because you're doing basketball, you're giving out to charities, you're everywhere. Not only because of your height, but because of your personality, and you're so giving, and everybody wants to be around you. So this is really a pleasure for me to have this opportunity to have you on, right?
Great. Well, our friendship goes back a long ways from when my daughter was
That's right.
at Nishimachi, and yes, the I Can and gymnastics and everything else that we were with. I don't want to say how many
That's
years
right.
ago.
That's been a long time. How old is your daughter now, by the way?
She's 25.
25.
Yeah.
And she only couldn't come to the class because of her height. She started getting too tall, and I couldn't spot her well. She was so tall.
Couldn't do those backflips anymore, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's start off with, where were you born, Dan?
So I was born in San Jose, California, back in 1966. So it was a good time, living there with my older brother and my 3 younger sisters growing up.
2 boys and 3 girls.
2 boys came first, and then we had 3 younger sisters, yeah.
How many years difference between you and your siblings?
So my mom and dad were busy, we had 5 kids in 6 years, so we were basically growing up all the same age, which means a lot of drama and a lot of, pushing and shoving and, trying to get the attention of mom and dad, but it's amazing now that we're all the same age and we can kind of share all the similarities and things that we've gone through. When we had troubles, we talk to each other.
And you do that a lot?
We do. It's nice with the internet and with everything that's changed. You don't have to get on a phone or you don't have to write a letter. You actually get to see people now.
Do you find that COVID brought you close together as far as that one, or were you already close?
We were already close, I think. It opened up the doors, I think, a little more for our parents, who were kind of forced to figure out how to use Zoom and the FaceTime.
Are your parents still together?
No, they actually were divorced when I was about 13 years old.
Yeah.
But they remained friends, and it was kind of one of those unique situations that my mom finished raising the kids and she wanted to move on, and my dad still wanted someone to take care of him a little bit. And so they're kind of like, okay, well, it's not going to work, and let's go our own ways. And they did, and they're both happy, and they're still friends today. And my mom will come down and check up on my dad, who's having some health issues these days. But yeah, it's nice. It's
so he never remarried?
He remarried.
Okay.
And she remarried twice.
Okay.
Is single again. So she's a little pickier than he is. I don't know how we can say that, but. Anyway, like I said, it's nice. We give each other calls and we talk to each other at least once a week, twice a week. We're in touch with each other, and brothers and sisters, and so it's good. Yeah.
What were you like as a child? Were you more academic, or were you more sports-minded, or did you have a combination?
My brother and I are 10 months apart. Irish twins.
Okay.
And so it meant one of us was going to do one thing, one of us was going to do another, basically. We competed a little at the beginning, or younger age, with sports and academics, and I won.
Really?
I basically won. He's bigger and stronger. He's just this.
Is he just as tall as you two?
He's about 6'5". I'm 6'8", 6'9",
Okay.
right? So he was as tall, almost as tall as I was, but 250 pounds and just strong,
solid.
right? Solid. And he was the protector of the family. People weren't going to mess with us. No matter how much he yelled at us, nobody was going to touch us, right? So it's nice. It's a special relationship that we had eventually. Mm-hmm. It turned into something that we can really share a lot right now.
Wow. So what sports, were you more sports-minded then? Or
I was definitely more sports-minded than him. I take after my dad. Blonde hair, blue eyes like my dad, but you can't tell these days.
Right.
Right? Blue eyes are still there.
Your father was really sports-minded too?
Yeah, my dad played ball all the way through college and had an opportunity to play NBA ball at the time.
How tall was he?
He's 6'7".
So it comes from your father's side, I'm assuming.
Definitely from my father's side. My grandfather used to play basketball when they still had the cage. And
You're kidding me.
yeah, no, my grandfather was 6'6". So for his generation, he was a giant. He said they used to have people sitting by the light switch, because when fights broke out in those games, they had to have someone turn off the lights so they could fight.
So going through school, you knew did you get your height real quick, or did you, because some kids, from me teaching, I realized they can stay one height, then all of a sudden they start to blossom.
Yeah.
What was yours like?
So, I started basketball playing at the YMCA, the YBA is what they called it. It was a youth league, and I was never the tallest. So that's 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, and I was tall, but not the tallest, right?
Okay.
I hit my growth spurt in middle school, in junior high. I went into junior high school maybe 5'6", so, and I was playing in the band, in the jazz band, rather than playing on the basketball team in 7th grade. And in 8th grade, I met a couple guys who said, why don't you come out for the basketball team? Okay. And so I joined the Peter Burnett Bobcats in San Jose, California in 8th grade. And that's when I first started playing really organized basketball. Right. And we had an amazing team, some real good athletes. We ended up being number 2 in Northern California.
Is that when you hit your growth spurt?
And then, so I finished maybe 5'10". So I was tall.
Wait, did your junior high, I don't know, did you guys 7th through 9th was junior high?
Actually 7th, 8th in California.
Only 2
we went
years?
Through 6th grade in elementary school, 7th and 8th, just 2 years of junior high school.
Because mine was, when I was doing it, old days, used to be 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay.
And high school was 10th through 12th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they
made it just 2 years.
2 years, and then we
was
had
it a
4-year high
separate school, or was it?
It was separate, not connected to the high school.
Right. So was ours. So
Yeah.
we had 3 years. Well, that's interesting.
So it was elementary school, one school.
Right. And junior high was
Junior
one
high was
school,
one
and then high
school.
school was one school.
Yeah, yeah.
So you went 7th to 8th. So you came out. You went in 5'7", 5'6".
5'7", came out 5'10", and then, or 5'11", I started my freshman year in high school, 6'3".
6'3".
So I went about 4 inches
Over
in a
the
year
summer, yeah.
over the summer.
Wow.
So
people
yeah.
didn't recognize you when you came back.
It was
You were
like,
looking down.
yeah, stretching, knees hurting, aching.
Right. Of course.
right?
Yes. That's another issue that people don't
Right?
realize.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
you have to get adjusted to a brand new body, brand new. Well, how was that easy or hard for you? Did you?
Well, it was good. It was like, I wasn't playing ball with my brother, but all my cousins, they have 8, so they beat us, right? So we had 8 cousins, 5 boys, 3 girls. And so we would always get together, and play ball, play any sport, really.
Right.
And my dad had the keys to the local high school and gym, so we were always in the gym together and running around. And my dad played ball through college. He actually played ball on scholarship at Santa Clara University, where I played basketball. Mm-hmm. So we played at the same university on scholarship.
Was he? What did your father do? What was his job?
So he was a high school teacher for 40 plus years.
What did he teach?
He taught sociology, psychology, basically. So.
And your mother, did she work?
My mom didn't work. She did a lot of art, very artistic. She would run more of a stay-at-home mom, but very community-oriented. And she would, friend's basement, she would open up an art school for kids after school, and we'd all go over there, and we'd run in between each other's houses. It was a really open style of being raised in downtown San Jose at the time. And we're really lucky to have both sides of that. Mm-hmm. My dad was also a cross-country coach, so he's still always connected with sports. So I had a lot of good training when I was young, and the competitive side of me, came from both of them, but definitely from my father when it came to basketball and sports.
And you're telling me that you grew up in a very open household that had a lot of energy and it attracted a lot of people. What was that like? And when did it start happening? When did you start realizing that? Yeah,
so because my father was a teacher, we had summers free, right? So we would do travel when we were young. We would get in a car and we'd drive to New York or up to Canada or all over the country, really, with my brother and I, then my sisters as they came along. And for whatever reason, the 5 kids or just the energy that the house that we lived in attracted people from all over the world. You know, we had people from Germany, we had people from Micronesia, we had people from Japan.
What were their ages basically? Were they always young people?
Yeah, they were all young.
Okay.
You know, young, 20s, kid, just people trying to check things out and do their own
How
thing.
would they know to come to your home? Did your father have an advertisement out or something, or what was it?
No, a lot of it was just, Guzan, it just happened.
Really?
And some of it was connected with Santa Clara and through churches and things that he was associated with, because he was, through school. But a lot of it was just, a guy from Japan, Masaharu, came through on his bicycle. He was riding his bicycle around the world. And he just stopped at our house for whatever reason it was, and came in and saw the kids and said hello, and he ended up staying with us for a little while. And he nicknamed my sister and I had a big smile, so I was Yukio. It was my Japanese nickname, and here I am in Japan, 50 years later.
Right. And you said you're naturalized?
I am naturalized. In '96, I took Japanese citizenship to allow me to continue to play basketball. We haven't even gotten into my basketball career
sure
yet, right?
No.
So, in Japan, there was always a limit on foreign players.
Mm-hmm.
And so by me getting Japanese nationality, I'd already been married to my wife for a couple years, who's Japanese. And so we decided it would be good for me to try to see if we could do it. And
what year are you talking about now?
95.
95.
Yeah. 96.
Nobody was doing anything, were we?
No, I was the Rui Ramos of basketball.
Sure were.
Yeah, I was the first non-Japanese blooded.
Right, because Ramos
foreigner.
did it. Right, Ramos did it in soccer.
Yeah.
So back to you. So you decided to do it in '95.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process like?
Process with a lot of paperwork, getting the right people to support. The Japan national team, the Basketball Association supported me. I was playing for Toyota Tsushoh in Nagoya at the time. So we had Toyota somewhat backing us as well. Putting in the paperwork, doing the interviews, proving that I wasn't a risk, and check, no debits to my name. And it actually took about a year only for me to get that to go through.
Okay.
And then I was on the national team playing and trying to compete for the world championships, right?
So all the time I've known you, you've been Japanese, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, since Miriam was born, I was.
I'd have never known it.
Yeah, right. I don't look Japanese.
Is it? I think it's your height that threw me off.
Yeah. So
That's
it's worked out well. I had a 13, 14-year professional career here, playing after I finished college at Santa Clara with an economics degree. I was going to go into business, do some other things, and then I had an offer to try out with the Sonics up in Seattle. So I tried out with the Sonics. That was back in '88, and they invited me back after the rookies camp and summer league, and then they made a big trade for Michael Cage. I don't know if you remember that name.
Mm.
But again, big power forward, and there was no room for another slower white forward like me.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, but I wasn't done playing ball. So I was introduced to another coach up from Portland who was now coaching in Istanbul.
Mm.
So I ended up playing basketball for 6 months professionally with Galatasaray, one of the big club teams in Istanbul, for about 6 months.
What was that like?
That was wild, right?
How old were you during this time?
I was 21 years old.
21 years
years
old,
old, yeah.
Going to Istanbul.
Istanbul, right? So that was back,
Back in the day, yeah.
Back in the day, midnight run.
That's
Istanbul,
right. That's right.
If you think about it. And it was a blast.
You didn't feel any of that?
No.
So everything wasn't in gray like we've been told?
No.
You remember everything in that time was supposed to be gray. The only thing that was in color was America, the West.
Dude, the Grand Bazaar, the food, the people, the mosques, the Bosphorus is just amazing, right?
And they told me what they
The
do for their
history.
kids. They said the parks for the kids are just phenomenal.
Yeah, I live fairly close to one of the seas. It's there, and it was just, the people were amazing. They knew I played for the big Galatasaray club team, and so they took care of me really well. Actually, the only issues I had were with the other foreign players on the team, who saw me as a threat, right?
Yeah, right.
The competitiveness. So, but I was a good buffer between the Turks and the American players, and I had a blast for 6 months, and then they decided to go in a different direction. I came back, and there was a letter on my athletic director's desk at Santa Clara saying Toyota Tsushoh is looking for a basketball player / international trainee, business trainee in Japan, and that was when Japan could say no.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
The bubble economy, everything was booming.
Money everywhere.
So there was money all over the place, and I was like, sign me up.
I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Hop off the plane in Osaka, get on the Shinkansen to Nagoya.
So you had like your family was okay with all of this? They never had any concerns whatsoever about you leaving them? Your mom didn't say, come on, baby, don't go. You're my second
she had
son.
4 others, man.
That's right.
So she had
did.
4
Yeah, I
others.
know
She was
that.
good.
So you kind of snuck through that way.
No, they were so supportive. Again, raising us in such an open family, like I said.
Did they encourage you to travel?
Yeah.
Because you did all the time, right? They wanted
with Japan, at Santa Clara, being at Santa Clara, I traveled with a team to Hong Kong, an all-star team to Hong Kong. And then just being raised in San Jose, it's one of the largest Japanese communities in the United States.
That's right.
So I was raised with a lot of Japanese friends, and we had Chiyono Fuji, before he was Chiyono Fuji, they did a summer sumo tournament at our high school. Wow. So I was up, setting up, hanging the Hinomaru next to the U.S. flag up in the rafters and selling drinks with my basketball team at the games.
Did you start speaking Japanese then? Did you try to? Or
No, I learned a little, one of my favorite teachers of all times was my 3rd grade teacher, Ms. Takada, in elementary school, and she was Nisei, and she taught us, how to use chopsticks and konnichiwa and arigato gozaimasu, and so a little then, gave us our first taste of sushi and stuff like that. But it was always a piece, right? My nickname Yukio is like I was meant to be here or something, right? Thinking about it now, it's like, oh, okay, of course. He's in Tokyo, he's in Japan, and he's been there for 30 plus years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you always, when did you think you wanted to come to Japan? Or was that something you really wanted, or you just really didn't care?
No, I wanted to play ball, really.
It didn't matter where you were
It
at.
didn't matter where I was at that point. And the opportunity, the fact that it was business, international trainee to go along with playing ball just was like, really? So I was working in international joint ventures at Toyota Tsushoh during the day, practicing with the team at night.
But what about marriage? I mean, your wife, did you date her for a long time? Or?
We met, actually. I was coming to Tokyo to visit a friend who was playing professional. We played ball at Santa Clara together, and he was in Tokyo playing for Kumagai-gumi, who was in Tokyo. So I came up here, and we mixed and met, and it happened that we just kind of hit it off. All her friends told her, he's too tall, and she's like, no, he's kind of nice. And so we had this long distance relationship, Nagoya, Tokyo. That's actually writing letters at the time.
Okay.
That's so
really back in the day.
Right? Talking every now and then, and when I had games up here, we'd try to find time to get together. And it worked out.
How long of a romance was that?
So I came to Japan in '89. We probably met in '92, so about 3 years.
Okay.
So a couple years. Yeah, so I was here for a year or two, and then I met her, and then we dated for about 3 years before we were married.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you got married here in Japan?
We actually got married, of course we went to the Kuyakusho and we signed the papers here, but then we also went to the U.S. Embassy, and then we went and had our ceremony up in Portola Valley, up on the mount at a winery up above Stanford University.
Now, why did you do that one?
We wanted to do something outside. We wanted to do it in California, so we were looking at, the Exploratorium and the stuff in San Francisco where the park is, where they had the World Fair. We were thinking about trying to do something there. I'd hired a wedding consultant, and she started showing me different places. And Fogarty Winery up on this hill overlooking the entire Santa Clara Valley came up, and I was like, that's pretty nice.
Did you have a lot of people at your wedding?
Yeah, we had about 200. Yeah, we had a lot of people there.
And both mom and dad, everybody was there? Your
Mom and
sisters?
dad, cousins, aunts, uncles, good contingent from Japan showed up. Masaharu, who nicknamed me, came in.
Wow.
So it was pretty special.
That is neat, that's neat.
Yeah.
So you only planned on doing that once?
That was the plan, and so far so good, right? Knock on wood, and
That's
as long as she doesn't come to her senses and realize she made a
'Cause
mistake.
How many kids do you have?
Just one daughter.
One daughter. That's right.
Yeah.
You're the daughter.
Yeah.
She's tall enough for everybody.
She is. She's,
How tall is she now?
almost 6 feet tall, or
That's right.
180.
Because
Close to 180.
she shot up real quick, and then I think
Yeah.
she started to taper off real quick too.
Yeah. She was
Yeah, right.
taller than her mom.
That's right.
In like 6th grade or something,
right. Right. Yeah, I remember
5th
that.
grade.
Wow.
Now she's a wonderful young lady. She ended up Nishimachi for all 10 years.
Right.
She went to boarding school in California at Kate School, in another beautiful place right up on a mesa in Santa Barbara area.
Right.
And then she got accepted to Tufts University
To study what?
to study international relations and economics, is what she ended up graduating, dual major with a minor in education.
So what's she doing now?
So she was in Boston for a couple years, working with Wayfair, doing some online data analytic campaigns and product management. And then she moved to Rotterdam. Her boyfriend, who she met while she was here volunteering in a program in Japan, is Dutch. And he came to Boston, and they had this, again, COVID relationship going on for a while, and he was able to come and visit her, and we like the way this works and the way this feels, and we want to be together. And so Mira's like, okay, I'll go to Rotterdam. I've had enough of California. I did Japan, I did California, I did the East Coast. Next move is Europe, right?
Is that where she is now?
And she's in Rotterdam, in Holland, in Netherlands. Now she's working in fintech. She's online again. She's a product owner for one of the banks, online banking in the Netherlands. And it's not exactly what she wants to do, but she realizes, data analytics, that's where things are going, right? Mm-hmm. If you understand the numbers and what things mean, then you can apply it to anything.
And
it
be
could
anywhere.
Education, it could be business, it could be finance, it could be, whatever. It could be, an NPO, anything. As long as you can understand and actually manipulate what's being done online, then you're really valuable anywhere.
So is she thinking about doing her own, or is she?
She's considering going back to get a graduate's degree. She's not sure whether it's education or more IT and data focused. But she's more of a company person right now. She's not the entrepreneur. Her boyfriend's the entrepreneur.
What does he do?
He does online trading, and he puts his own algorithm together and is a very intelligent individual.
Is he dealing in fiat currency, or?
Yeah, currency. He does bonds. He puts his ETFs together.
Okay.
And he does that. We have a little investment with him, so he's doing okay. We keep an eye on him. He has a little of our money.
Just to find out where he's at.
Yeah. So, but no, and they're happy, and they're really good for each other. So they're actually going to be coming to Japan next week. So we're excited to have them here for a few weeks. Yeah.
Well, that's why I was in a hurry to get you on the podcast, because I know once they come here, that's where all your focus is going to be.
Definitely.
So tell me, Dan, how has Japan been for you? Because I know that we used to talk when you had your daughter at Nishimachi, because it was me, you, and Todd. We'd talk, and I had my philosophy, Todd had his. What'd you end up doing with yourself? Basically, let's say, in a financial sense, how do you deal with being here?
There's good and bad, I think. I think being so close to my family and having such a close-knit family, it's hard to be away. Things happen. I found, especially initially, I would go back to the U.S. expecting everything to be the same, and of course it isn't. You know, with friends, with college friends, people are moving around, people are gaining weight, people are losing hair. You know, there's all these things that are happening, and it's like, okay, I'm missing out on being part of some of that. And so that was hard. But at the same time, being here and making a name for myself, and it's fun to be recognized, you know. Oh, Weiss Dan, you play basketball, right? Yeah. You know, it doesn't happen as often these days, but every now and then it still does.
You know who you are.
Maybe that's what drew me back to working with kids and kind of being in the spotlight again and really being authentic with them. And they understand when you're telling them the right things and you're showing them the good stuff. And yeah, you know, I've been lucky because my wife also works and she's been very successful.
What is she doing now?
She's actually the director for Air Canada for Asia Pacific. So she's
How long has she been doing that?
She's been with Air Canada since 2007, I believe, 2009.
And what did you do prior to that?
She was with United Airlines.
Oh, so she's always
She was always in the airline industry for 19 years with United. She rose up to home bucho level with United, so quite successful there.
And what does she do again for the airlines?
So she is the director of sales and marketing for Asia Pacific for Air Canada.
Okay.
Right. So she came in, started she got headhunted, pulled over to Air Canada from United. Started as country sales manager, or sales and marketing manager, and then moved up to GM, general manager, first woman to head a foreign airlines in Japan. Wow. And then they got smart and decided they wanted to keep using her talent, and she got the position of director of Asia Pacific. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so she's in China and Korea and Australia and New Zealand, and she's all over the place these days. But it's allowed me to kind of help raise our daughter at the time, because I was a basketball player. I had a lot more free time during the mornings and during the day, and our daughter would come to practice with me, and it was easy. It's allowed me to step away from sports business and give me a little more flexibility as well to go back and not worry about my salary as much,
right,
and be able to come back and work with kids and work with education and do something I'm really passionate about, which I really appreciate her for, because she likes her job and she's passionate and she's very good at it.
She's good at it, right.
She's very good at it, but at the same time, it's got to be frustrating too. It's like, oh, you get to go play with the kids again. I got to, you know.
Yes.
So it's a different stress, and it's a different thing, and so that understanding, and probably don't say it enough and don't tell her enough. So hopefully she'll get a chance to see this, right? Yeah, she knows. She knows now. So
tell her how much you care about that.
Yeah, so it's a good balance between the two of us, and I think trying to get her involved with some of the things I do as well. We just had the NBA games, Japan games here in Japan, and
I saw both of you because you had that posted all over.
Yeah. So we had a chance to put together a few things. I've worked with Rakuten in the past and with Stephen Curry when he came to Japan for the Underrated tour in 2019 before the COVID hit. And so I had good connections, and they called me and said, can we do anything? What can we do? Who should we talk to? Where can we go? Is there, a children's home or something that we can do a NBA Cares thing for? And so I gave them some ideas, and they got back to us, and they got us in touch with the Wizards, who wanted to do something in Tokyo, and the Wizards put together all these care packages for kids, probably about 60, 70 care packages for all the kids at the center, at the home. And then we went and delivered them on Sunday.
Now these are kids that have, what's the situation?
A lot different. No, it's not just orphanage, right? There's some that come from abused homes.
This isn't an orphanage?
It depends on your definition of orphanage, right? So, we think orphanage, we think kids without parents.
Of course.
This is more of a children's home where they take in, it could be abused kids, it could be parents can't afford economic issues that they couldn't take care of them. It could be something happened to their parents. Mm-hmm. It could be they were abandoned at an early age.
Where's this place located? Is it several places?
This is out in Kitaku,
Okay.
in Tokyo. So out.
How many kids are there?
There are, I think they said 150 total.
Okay.
And they're in the process of rebuilding the whole center, the facility, and the Wizards were really happy to do something with them, and they actually are in the process of wanting to donate a little more, so maybe they can build a little half court outside in the, play area that they're going to be putting together. So we went and delivered all those bags. We did a little basketball fun day with them out in the courtyard.
I saw that. Yeah, that was out in the middle. Was that the courtyard? Or was it in the street?
It was. They're because they haven't built the whole play area.
Okay, because it looked like a
Yeah,
regular.
so we were. Yeah, it was just the street out
Right.
in front. Yeah, it's it's a closed off street. It's within the facility. I just met up with an old friend of mine yesterday who was in town with the Warriors. He's a personal trainer, Dante Hill, and we were just sitting and talking over at the Staya, down right here in Roppongi area, and having a coffee and catching up. And he does his leadership, and I was asking him, like, well, how, working with these amazing athletes that are at the top level, how do you create something that is going to keep them engaged, make them want to come back, make them really better, even to get them to that next level?
What do you have to say?
So his point was that first you got to study. You got to know who you're working with, right? It takes time. You have to understand what he can do and where his weaknesses and strengths are. Then of course they all have egos. To get to that level of anything, you have to have an ego to be competitive and kind of push people out of the way sometimes. But he says you keep it real and you tell them, look, I can see you can't, this is where you need work, and they know.
So if you point it out
people,
well,
right?
they'll know.
Yeah. And they knew before, right?
Right.
Athletes, they knew before. And so it's a matter of reaching that and saying, okay, so we start here and we do this, and then we add, right? It's step by step and we add. And I think that's one of the things I wish some of the younger kids and younger players could see. Right now they turn on YouTube or they turn on something and see Steph shooting the threes, and they don't realize that he's in the gym 6 hours a day before, besides what he does at practice with the team, working on fundamental basketball that is going to give him that foundation and that base for the success that he has. So hopefully, that'll dribble down a little bit.
But you find that even here when you're working with the kids that you come in with, which are a lot of expats, do you deal with a lot of Japanese directly that aren't involved in this community?
Some, right? The club has a few more. Okay. Has quite a few Japanese members.
But the difference is they've come into this forum. See,
they've chosen
agreed.
This, yes.
They've chosen to agree to this. Now, I think it'd be a little bit different if you went outside to the domestic area. I don't think they would be as high strung, first of all, as some of these kids may be.
Yes.
They'd be a little more timid, a little more forgiving. They'll accept what you have to say.
Yeah, and I work with a couple of Japanese partners as well at a group called Sporglish, Sports English. And that's focused on Japanese kids and teaching them English in an athletic environment, right? So we do drills, agility drills, we do reaction drills, we do quickness drills, we do ball handling drills in a small space. And it's a matter of breaking down those walls for the young Japanese kids to let them know that English isn't so hard. It starts up, down, right, left, run, jump, jump, jump. And with that U.S. coaching energy, right? That style where they just forget about everything and just start answering and speaking, and it's not my name is.
Right.
It's Coach Dan, and okay, let's go. And it's a great program. And so that's the other side, right? You're talking all these Japanese kids, and so you have kids coming through who are, again, timid, But in a few weeks, a month or 2 months, they're like front of the class, getting close to you, and okay, let's go.
Where do you see yourself now? Where are you going, Dan, from now?
Wow. You know, I think it's a transition somewhat for me. You know, I love coaching. I love being on the court with kids. You know, maybe it's time to see if I can get involved with a few other things now that COVID's kind of, things are opening up. There's more opportunities out there again to get involved on a different level.
What are those levels you're talking about?
It could be working with a company that's involved with sports and kids and education, and coming in and helping manage projects and do things that way. Of course, I'm going to stay at the club and work with kids here as long as possible, because that's a joy, and it's something that gives back to me as much as I give to it. But at the same time, finding something that I can love just as much and feel that I'm making a difference, doing something that matters, and helping other people. At this point in my life, we've done well. My wife and I have done well, and we're coming to that point where we're supposed to retire, right? And we aren't ready for it. So where are we going to be, and what can we do together? Maybe something that we can start putting together and work together on something that we've been doing different things for so long that it might be good to, find that passion that we can grow it and build together and move on to the next stage in our lives.
My final question, what advice would Dan now give the 20-year-old Dan?
Don't be so worried about what other people think. For whatever reason, I was, being a basketball player and an athlete, you're in the spotlight. People are watching you, and you don't worry about making mistakes on the court. But when I was in groups, even now sometimes I catch myself learning Japanese or speaking Japanese. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to look bad, or what are they going to think if I say something that they don't agree with? But I would tell myself, don't worry about what other people think. You be you and be happy with what you say, because that's what you want to say, not because what you think other people want you to say, right? So I think I'm getting there. I'm still working on it. There's always something that you can get frustrated with, but again, if you can keep it in the moment and live for the now, then your mistakes and things that you wish you would have done go away, and you do what you can, and you enjoy you enjoy your life a lot more.
Well said, Dan. Thank you so much, buddy.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I want to thank all of you for watching this podcast. Make sure you press like and subscribe. And remember, it's all unknown, so reach for the stars, because you're too blessed to be stressed.